This changes everything for the Denver Nuggets. David Adelman, in his introductory press conference as the Nuggets' official head coach, stated that the Nuggets will be coming into the next season more conditioned and more ready for the beginning of the season. Amy Sutherland here for Nuggets Digest, stoked to chat about this David Adelman introductory press conference. But first, please hit the subscribe button. We hit 1,000 subscribers today, and we are so grateful for each one of you that has subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and join our Nuggets Digest community. David Adelman was hired in one of the most tumultuous ways that I've ever seen. He was hired with only three regular season games left. And by the way, the Nuggets were undefeated in those 3 games. He then led the Nuggets to win the first round of the playoffs and got to a game 7 in the second round of the playoffs. Pretty successful start for a head coach, if you ask me. Then David Adelman was hired to be the Nuggets' official head coach about a week and a half ago. And yesterday, actually, he sat down with Josh Kroenke, the governor of the Nuggets, and had a few things to say about the upcoming season for the Denver Nuggets. I have a few quotes that I want to chat about, and I'll give you my opinions. I'd also love to hear your opinions about David Adelman and his press conference in the comments below. So, first, let's start with this quote. David Adelman said, "New ideas are good ideas. I have to give them something to come back to that excites them." I love this from David Adelman. He was also asked a follow-up question on this about how much he got to implement of his own strategies into the Denver Nuggets team in their small regular season run and short postseason run. He said not much. However, he did get to implement a few defensive strategies, mostly being able to change on the fly, because he said they could implement those easily in walkthroughs. However, he did not have much of a chance to implement any offensive strategies that he wants for the Denver Nuggets, just because those take time to practice and to develop. However, he said that this is going to be important, and he wants the Nuggets to become a team that can execute a half-court offense. He mentioned the Pacers and how they're playing with an insane amount of pace right now in the postseason, but all of the other teams still left in the playoffs have the capability to slow down their offense and execute. He wants this for the Denver Nuggets, and that is his plan going forward. The Denver Nuggets were burnt out from the old coaching style. They were not responding to whatever was happening in the locker room and frankly didn't want it anymore. This is why I think David Adelman mentioning that he's going to keep things new is key to his success as a coach. He's ready to come in and shake things up. I would be tempted as a coach to just come in and continue doing what had been done before, but he is ready to move the Denver Nuggets to the next step. He's not complacent. He's not going to just come in and let things run the same way they were run. He's coming in ready with new material, new development tactics, and I think that's a great idea. Let's move on. Another quote by David Adelman. He said, when asked about player development, he said, "It starts now. We have people in this building who are more than capable of creating the depth we need." This is the main concern that I have about the Denver Nuggets, and that many people have about the Denver Nuggets, is a serious lack of depth. David Adelman has the belief that there are players on the Nuggets roster right now that can fill these lacks. Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, Jalen Pickett, De'Ron Holmes are a few of these players that could fill these gaps. He mentioned in the press conference that he has a plan to go and speak to each one of these players and all of the other players about how they can develop in this offseason to be put into the role that they need to be playing. This is a great tactic, and making sure everyone is on the same page. I think that was a lack that the Nuggets had last season, is the young guys were not getting the playing time that they needed to develop, and it seemed like they had really no idea where they were going. David Adelman wants to cut all of that out. He's making a plan, and he's going to communicate that with each of his players, making sure that they're all aware of the belief that David Adelman has in them and of their capacity. David Adelman, also speaking on this same topic, says, "I expect guys to come back much better, stronger, more confident." I think that by going to each of the players and explaining the role that and expectation that David Adelman has for them will allow this. Confidence comes from knowing that you're in the right spot and that people trust you. Young guys need a coach's trust. Young players they can be successful, but a large amount of their success comes from having people that believe in them, especially a coach that believes in them and believes that they can become the player that the team needs. David Adelman is proving, and he's explaining to us as Denver Nuggets fans, that he wants to do this. He wants this for his team. I admire this so much, and I admire that he's taking the time to figure out how each player fits in. He mentioned that these players are not going to be given a spot. They will have to earn their spot. A media member asked him about what role playing in an actual game has versus just development in the offseason. David Adelman says that he expects guys to come in and earn their spot, but also that he will give them time after they've earned their spot and after they've proved that they're willing to develop into the role that the Nuggets need them to develop. This is so key. He wants these guys to know that he believes in them. Julian Strawther was even sitting on the front row of the press conference, which I appreciated seeing him there. I appreciated him showing up for his coach, showing up and proving that he's going to be one of the guys that's working this offseason to improve and to earn his spot with David Adelman on the Nuggets. Another thing that David Adelman said about this, he said he was asked about conditioning, and he said teams that get off to great starts usually at the end of the year have the best chance of being healthy in these big games. That will be the expectation to come back in much better shape. This has been a struggle for the Nuggets teams. Specifically, Jamal Murray has a problem with not coming into the season ready to play or ready to be conditioned, and David Adelman is eliminating that. He expects that every player top down will come into next season ready and conditioned to play. He explained that in September, they're going to get a lot of run in, that he wants his players to be back, earning their spots, conditioning, making sure that they're ready for the start of the season. And David Adelman says that that's how teams find success, because it can lead to less injury throughout the season. Conditioning in the offseason can. It can lead to a better start to the season, which means that you don't have to work. The players don't have to push every single game for the spot. That's something that the Nuggets have struggled with the last 2 seasons, is they're pushing for a certain ranking and they exhaust their starters and have nobody from the bench to back them up. If we have players to back them up from the bench, and if the starters come into the season conditioned, that eliminates that problem. This truly changes everything for the Denver Nuggets. If they can follow David Adelman's expectations and come into next season conditioned, I don't know who can stop them. If Jamal Murray comes into next season ready to play, the Nuggets are going to go far next season. And I'm excited for David Adelman's tenure as head coach. He has expectations, and he is explaining them to the national media, to us as Nuggets fans, and to his players. I'm so stoked about David Adelman as head coach. And I know a lot of you aren't, but I hope this gives you some hope and some confidence that David Adelman really does know what he's doing, and he is here to unify the Denver Nuggets. Once again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, go Nuggets.